myself as like my government name.
Whatever you want to do. Hi, I'm Kyndal.
Hey, it's Emmanuel.
And this is Not That Serious. Welcome to the show for the first time.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm very happy to be here.
This is like so exciting.
Yeah.
Happy here.
This is pretty major. This is a very big deal for me.
Really?
Yeah, it definitely is.
Period. Emmanuel and I went to school together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the context. And like to play on the fact that we went to school together, one thing I have to say about Emmanuel before we even get into this episode is Emmanuel's a very intelligent individual. You guys have to understand this. He's a Gemini, okay? He's got the mind that moves and it's intelligent. So I said, if I'm going to have Emmanuel on the show, like I have to have a topic that is fun, but requires a bit of thinking. So y'all need to put your thinking caps on today. Today we're going to be discussing the future of pop culture, shifts we've seen, things that we see continuing to happen, predictions, all that good stuff. And Emmanuel's about to get smart on everybody. So keep up.
I can be a little less smart if that's what's necessary.
Never dumb yourself down.
Okay.
They need to keep up.
Okay.
Get your money up.
You heard her.
Not your funny up.
Get the money up.
That's what.
Never the funny up.
Aunt said that the other day, and I thought that shit was so funny.
Yeah.
So
it's a very like wake up every day and just like get your money up, not your funny up. Like
it's a thing. It's like a practice.
It needs to be the mantra.
But how are you?
I'm doing all right. You know what I mean? In the weird transitional space in my life right now.
Talk about it.
With just like everything.
Yeah.
And so trying to figure that out and traverse all those different spaces.
Is it the job market? Is it just
job,
like life?
Personal life,
Yeah.
Personal growth. I think I'm in a much more sensitive place than I've probably ever been before.
Really?
Which sensitive in both the good ways and in some of the drawbacks of it. I'm more aware and I'm a very aware person, both self-aware and aware in general. So more aware than ever before, very in tune, like just very sensitive in all the ways. I feel like my spidey senses are like,
do be tingling.
Yeah, they be tingling, and like sometimes it could just be a fly flying too close. You know, and the spidey senses will tingle the same way that like if it was a bus about to hit me, you know. So, you know, I got to practice my discernment. But
yeah,
amidst all of the confusion that comes with being in a very transitional space, I'm very good.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm about to shake some shit up then.
Let's do that.
Question
I'm
of the
always
week.
with the shaking. Let's get it.
Question of the week. What pissed you off this week?
Man, so much.
So let me.
Yeah, I got a CVS receipt. A lot of things have pissed me off this week. I think one of the things that made me very angry this week, has been not to be too serious because this is not that serious.
But it's okay.
But some of the like discourse in reaction to the Montgomery Bro.
Oh.
And how loaded these conversations that certain individuals of certain skin complexion areas are making these things, especially because those individuals share the complexion of the individuals who were in the wrong. But of course, you know, violence is a very interesting topic in our nation when race is played into it. And so there's justifiable violence and unjustifiable violence.
Yeah.
And certain people's violence is never justifiable to other people. But that's just pissed me off mainly because Black people have been having such a good time with it.
We've been having a blast.
We're having a blast. We've never been more united in like the last 5 years than we've been this week about this subject matter. There's so much folly and so much joy. Yeah, you know, like we're truly frolicking through the internet fields.
That's so true.
Because of this. And you can even feel it. Like you can feel it permeate in the minutia of life. Like,
do y'all hear those big ass words? Are y'all keeping up with that? I'm just making sure y'all are good. Just checking in.
I'm sorry. You can feel it in the air is what I was saying there.
I just have to make sure.
But yeah, and so that's pissed me off.
Yeah.
Just it feels like a perversion of the joy that we're having right now.
That's real. I literally saw TikTok this morning. Unfortunately, it was a Black person saying like, why do y'all find so much joy in Black people like using violence, I guess, against white people. And people, I saw TikTok, this guy being like, why wouldn't we?
Right.
This is the best thing that could happen all week.
I'm
and
confused
it was so fucking funny. But yeah, people are, that's so real.
Yeah.
That's so real. My white roommate, God bless her, she's been sending me memes and stuff of she's been having a blast too. Everybody be having a good time with this.
It's absolutely something I think we should all be able to have a good time with, because the real conversation here shouldn't even be very black and white as much as it's like the entitlement that was displayed by one group of individuals and the recklessness that they act with, feeling like there was no consequences. And then they got consequences knocked on their door and hit them with a pie full of itself.
Or a chair. And a chair.
A big chair. And it's like, who doesn't have someone that they know who really needs to be slapped but has never been slapped, and so they operate like someone who can't be slapped? We all know someone like that. We all know individuals who are operating in that manner.
I've thought of them.
But, apparently that part of the cognitive.
Not right to hit people. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Right? It's not what I think. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
If you gotta hit somebody, you gotta hit somebody. That's how I feel about it. That's why I never cared about the Will Smith slap. That was like, I will keep talking about this till the day I die. I love Will Smith. I think he did right by his wife. And I don't give a fuck that it was at the Oscars. I don't care. He did what he did. Violence is not the answer. It is sometimes.
Sometimes violence is the answer.
Sometimes you gotta hit a bit.
It's unfortunate, but we live in this world.
Yeah.
In this world, violence is sometimes the answer. It's
so, and like I always say too, I'm like, Will chose his violence correctly. He didn't smack the bitch. He didn't punch him. He didn't kick him. He didn't shove him down.
You think the slap was the
I thought
appropriate?
The slap was the perfect response. I said that's enough to get his ass, zing him, and shut his ass up. And it was perfect. It was perfect. I have no complaints.
I feel it.
He did what he needed to do.
I feel it. I think no matter what anyone's opinion on that matter is, you can't deny how fire or how boss it is to slap a nigga and then win an Oscar.
Oh, iconic.
Like 40 minutes later.
Like no one gave a fuck.
And like the Oscar, like he won Best Actor and went up there and gave a speech.
Like, love that for him.
About the fact that he just slapped this nigga.
Man.
If we're just being honest.
Like it's honest to God perfect. I mean, this is maybe the 17th time that I've talked about this specific thing on this podcast. Will, if you ever see this, I love you, dear.
Well, come on, we need the Will Smith cosign.
We need Will Smith on the show.
Come on.
That would make my whole entire life.
It has to happen.
I don't know what pissed me off this week. I feel like so many things have, anger me inside of a week. I guess I could talk about this. Can y'all take a joke?
Take a joke.
Do y'all know how to do that? Because the amount of people that found the TikTok, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But Charnel and I did a whole episode, mind you, on a podcast called Not That Serious about being a hater. And some of y'all took that a little too seriously.
Yeah.
Learn to laugh. Everybody learn to laugh, beloved. The worst part is I got comments on being like, this podcast is about nothing. It's a click-hungry podcast that just doesn't do anything. And I said, yes, my love. It's called Not That Serious.
I don't. What did you want? What were you wanting from us? What were you asking for?
Let's be real. You can't make anybody happy because you can't spread joy in the form of baseless entertainment, and then you can't spread joy in the sense of think pieces because those are fucking annoying too. Let's be real. So did you want me to get on the mic and talk to you about something intelligent? Because I can. That's not what you wanted.
And I think that what's interesting about the specific space that this podcast fills in the podcast space is that podcasts are either dangerously ignorant or dangerously like politicized or like serious, if you will. And the dangerously ignorant ones are dangerous in their ignorance because they don't know that they're ignorant.
No, they're very dead ass.
And the dangerously serious ones are dangerous because they don't realize like their lens of the world is like so skewed because all we're going to do is talk about socio-economical, creatorial.
Boo.
Like,
boo.
I don't want to hear that.
No.
And here's a podcast that's giving you folly for folly's sake because they're aware of the fact that you probably don't have it.
No.
So tap in every Tuesday and let us be the source of, for a little hour plus, you can just decide to not have to care about anything.
Literally.
And don't we all need that in this world and culture and time now where everything feels so critical?
We do.
This is the breath of fresh air, but you niggas refuse to breathe.
A word for you motherfuckers. A word. I can't wait to put that into a little clip. That's perfect. That is a perfect segue. So that being said, today we're talking about like all things pop culture as far as like the future of it, its past and present, and where we see it going.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what I was really bad about preparing you for this show, because I don't know if you came prepared with any thoughts, or if you like had anything that you were like, I'm ready to say this, or if you're just like, I'm just down to be here and just feed and rip off. What are you thinking?
I'm somewhere in between those things. I thought about things. I was like, okay, especially specifically thinking about like maybe trends or the directions of things that I see going. And I thought about things that I care about. I didn't want to like, let me spend all this mental energy on something that I don't have the knowledge or the desire or the care for. And then Kyndal doesn't even ask about it. And now I went down this rabbit hole for 7 hours trying to figure out what the future of
pop culture
walnuts are going to be or whatever.
Right.
And so I did some like, base thinking about those things. I also just wanted to be like, this is Kyndal's show and I want to service Kyndal.
That's so sweet.
And so it's just like what she wants to talk about, the direction she wants to take things. Like, I'm completely open to that.
I'm for the people, and I want to hear what the people have to talk about. So, like, tell me, what do you think the future of pop culture? Maybe let's start generalizing, right? Like, what do you think? Where are we headed? And then within that, what are you most passionate about heading in that direction, whether it's good or bad?
I think when I think about my upbringing and I think about the 2000s, I think about how much every part of our lives from a social standpoint was directly linked to pop culture. I think about how for a lot of our generation, like I'd say late middle school is when we started specifically denoting and dictating what music we consumed, because prior to that it was just the music videos that came on music video countdown shows,
right?
Or what was like trending on Vivo, or like
what was on television,
what was on TV, what was on World Star, like whatever the case may be. And like there was like very intentional spaces, like when people like got their first iPod or iPhone or whatever the case may be, of being like, I'm gonna now curate whatever my music is, versus us just taking in what the world had to give. I think about how as a kid, and not even just a kid, but again, like thinking of the 2000s, how much the movies I saw were 100% blockbusters, or like big action packed or family friendly. Like there wasn't this attention being sought to a smaller budget or an indie film or whatever the case may be, because again, what we were consuming was just so litmused by pop culture. And I think about now how pop culture is still important, it still has relevance, but how everything that we're consuming from a entertainment and social standpoint isn't like dictated by it. And I think that we've been in that for a while. And I think that not necessarily that I feel there's a sharp turn coming, but that I feel that pop culture is going to start pop culturing again. I think things like fashion, things like music and entertainment, who the biggest celebrities are. Like right now, you ask someone who they think the most famous person is, it's the person that they like the most. Or that they're most, they have the post, not the awareness of like who's really the A-listers. I think we're going to return to a sense of pop culture, not necessarily dictating what we consume, but being the pulse of things socially. And that I think is going to be driven by, one, I think there's this deep desire for a lot of people to not necessarily step away from social media completely, but redefine their relationships with it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I think that that's going to come with like an influencer purge, if you will. But I also think that influencers are going to, maybe not in the next year or two, but eventually start following in some level of footsteps that we're seeing in entertainment right now with celebrities as far as strikes happening. I think that an influencer union is on the rise. And I think that influencers kind of peeling back the veil and being like, you guys think this is the life I'm living. Here's the life I'm actually living. Here's why it looks like this. Here's what's different. Here's the fact that I only get paid this many amount of cents based off of this many, whatever the case may be. And this is why my life is XYZ. We're going to see a lot of that veil get torn back. And I think that people will ironically tap back into, but with people trying to redefine their relationship with social media, I'm not saying that algorithms and things of that nature are going to mean less, but I think that we're not going to be so controlled by them. What we consume and how we consume what we consume isn't going to be so much tailored to us. It's going to go back to a tailoring in a general sense of how do I capture the most amount of people. Right now, you can open up your Instagram or your Twitter or your TikTok, and it's almost curated for you. Me. The niches that you have, the interests that you have, the political idealizations that you have, whatever the case may be, like, it's built for you. And with people kind of trying to redefine what social media is for them, it becoming more of a tool and less of our everything, which is, I think, the place that it is for most people right now. I think that's going to lead to the tastemakers, if you will, having to get back to a space of, we got to put out a thing, and the thing has to capture as many people as possible, which has to give it a sense of generality. You know what I mean? We can't be as weird or as off the beaten path as we have been, because back then we were finding 100% of the people that are off that beaten path, and now we might not be able to catch that many.
This is really interesting that you're saying that, because I feel like being like involved in social media, like everything is about how specific can you get it, like how specific, like who you're talking to one person, right? Like especially with a target audience, like your target audience is one person. And I had written down, like, I'm actually really curious to hear your thoughts on this. It was talking about like the aesthetification of things, and that America has an individuality crisis. Are y'all keeping up? I'm just checking in on you guys. But like so this started with like, are you familiar with, I'm about to, God bless Emmanuel. Are you familiar with like the blueberry nails trend?
No.
Okay, great. So are you familiar with like just like cottage core, like different like names of stuff? Okay, so blueberry nails was essentially like something that just popped up as of like couple weeks ago. And it's just like a specific color of nails, but now they took it and kind of ran with it, and they were like, I'm a blueberry nails type of girl. And then I just saw actually the other day, it was like strawberry milk makeup. And they're talking, and then I read an article about talking about how like people are so mad that it's like commodifying things that already exist for the sake of like being easier to be sold to, right? And so I just found this interesting, because they were like, this is a part of America's individuality crisis. Like people are so quick to put themselves in boxes, like they want to like belong to some sort of community. They want to like feel like they fit in this particular box. I say it like the Pilates girlies, the content girlies, the, you know. And I don't know, I see it specifically with women. Like women are just very easy to like, women are easier to sell to. Like I feel like they're just like easier to sell to, but I see it easier with them too, because it's like when you're creating content, it is so much easier to be like strawberry makeup, or like people were making fun of it. It's like, it was kind of funny. It was like a tomato girl summer, and there was like these like Pinterest photos, right? So you're like, what the fuck is a tomato girl summer?
Right. What is that?
And the pictures are literally just look like a summer in Italy. Like that's what I would have already like pictured, but you get the aesthetic, right?
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
they're just calling it something else.
Interesting.
For like the sake of like, I feel like funny enough, we're going to see more of that.
Interesting.
Like I feel like social media is going to become a little bit more generalized, but at the same time, we're going to continue to see more of that like boxing of people. And I'm curious to know, because like you're a boy, like what like does that exist for men?
Yes. I think it exists for men, but if I'm being honest, I think it only exists for men for the sake of the female gaze. I can give you an example.
Yes, please. Actually, I'm really curious.
I give 2 actually.
Okay.
Because I consider these dudes cousins, but they don't like each other and they don't realize that they're cousins.
They're one and the same.
Yeah. So gym bros.
And
like gym bros who like live, eat, sleep, breathe gymnasium. And then these like rustic nature dudes, like the dudes who like they're making the videos of them like chopping wood, frying like or cooking fish out in nature with like it's in the pan and like they put bare fire on top of the pan. And they have like a dog and those dudes are the same dude to me. They're just 2 sides of a different coin.
Different fonts.
Those dudes specifically is social media, right? There's this like level of esteem put on being one of those guys. And finding the other guys that are like that or like-minded isn't necessarily what drives that. Like, I don't think you'll have people in general who are like, yeah, I'm seeking community, this, that, and the third, whatever the case may be. But I think that a lot of men don't consciously understand that they, much like women, have the innate human desire to like find acceptance and to be seen and heard and understood as they are and feel like they're loved and appreciated as that individual. A lot of men have a disconnect with that. They think they don't have that. And all human beings have it. Yeah. So that dissonance kind of leads to a lot of like misunderstanding, a lack of self-awareness that I think lack of self-awareness is like the leading thing plaguing
for
men
everything
right now. Like men are so cooked because they have no self-awareness. But I think a lot of like both of those brands of guys, like their content is to capture the female gaze.
Right.
And so they're very quick to box themselves. I'm the rustic nature dude and I'm shirtless and I chop wood.
Right.
And I know how to navigate via the stars.
But that's a man.
He's doing it not because he wants to like, the aesthetic, in as much as he's doing it because I know that women find this.
Yeah, bitches love me.
They find this attractive and it sets me apart from that dude in J. Crew who's going to try and get your number because he's not a man's man. I think that there are like types of men who have this categorization obsession or this desire to find their box that they're in and that they belong to. But I think that I think like the group of men who like were the first group to like be like, at least when it comes to social media, to be like, this is my box and this has nothing to do with the female gaze, is like hardcore nerds. Like cosplay is my life. I watch nothing but anime. And ironically, I think if I'm being honest now,
they are appealing to the female gaze.
It's already taken the turn in the 180 and it's like for the female gaze. I feel like once someone somewhere like had the click of like, I can be the single greatest, biggest nerd on the planet. And there's some woman who's attractive, who's beautiful, who will give me vagina despite that, or maybe even because of it.
Yeah.
And then he went back into the cave and he told the rest and they were like, there's coochie out there for us too.
Right.
And now they're like,
they acting a fool.
Yeah. And so now it's like right back to it. So I do think that men have that, and this individuality crisis that you speak of, like, I think that it's definitely plaguing men as well. But I think that it's hard to tell a dude like, my nigga, that's corny, when he's doing it for coochie. Not because it doesn't make it corny, but because
they're not going to stop.
They're not going to stop. And as men, so much of what we do, like the overwhelming majority of men wouldn't wash their ass if not for the fact that women aren't gonna give you coochie if you smell like Badissi.
Wait, no, there's no way. That can't be true.
I mean, I haven't taken a poll, but I think that I think that most like men like so much of what they litmus themselves off of and the things that they do like be about maximizing the amount of suitors that they could potentially bed.
I mean, like that makes sense, but like Damn, that's crazy. And I think that's crazy that it shows up in pop culture the way that it does.
Yeah, and I think you can see just how low the bar is willing to go, because you'll find there's someone out there who will accept whatever your crop of BS is. And if you're lucky enough to somehow find that person and you're like willing to be with them, find them attractive, whatever the case may be, you will literally like see a man be a blob of nothingness. Like he'll just,
damn, for real?
He'll be, because someone's accepting it. Like and I was doing all of this work.
That's why we got to do better.
I was doing all of this work, and for what? You telling me like
you like me for who I am?
Yeah, like
right.
You'll give me Gucci, and I'd have to do none of that stuff. Then I'll just do none of it.
Damn, do you all hear that?
I don't
Ladies.
have to be hygienic or groomed or
no, you
work
do.
hard, hustle, provide.
No, absolutely not. You need to wash your ass.
You do.
At the bare minimum.
You absolutely do.
You need to wash your ass. So then, okay, that being said, because you said a couple things. You said something about celebrities, and I said the same thing. I wrote down, like, everybody's a creator. So therefore, the gap between celebrities and regular people is dying.
Yep, it is definitely closing. Absolutely.
I feel like we're about to shift into seeing something like you're either known or you're not. Versus like A-lister, influencer, like this, it's you're known or you're not.
Yeah.
And there's like maybe like you're more known if you're a Kardashian,
right,
than you are if you're a Charli D'Amelio. But
I think that line of known and unknown will exist to the unknowns. From the perspective of the consumer, the difference between, you know, this person who's like YouTube I'm obsessed with and Ben Affleck is non-existent. They're both known to me. But I think on the other side of the line, in the world of the knowns, they're going to work hard to create and to draw those lines more definitively.
They have
because
to.
I think social media has created like a wild bridge. I remember a moment just like, and this is weird to say now because like Lotto is one of the biggest musical acts this year. But I remember like 3-4 years ago when Rihanna was listening to Bitch from the South on her story, and how huge a moment it was, because that's an A-list celebrity publicly showing that they enjoy and are consuming the art of someone that was rungs beneath them, many levels and rungs beneath them. And I feel like that was the first moment for me where I realized that like the bridge is a lot longer or a lot wider than I thought it was. And we've started to see more and more and more and more those lines get blurred. I mean,
yeah, the only thing I can think of is like everybody, they call Beyonce the celebrities of celebrities, right? Yeah. Like Beyonce's the only person like, oh my God, it's Beyonce. Yeah, and you could be fucking Denzel. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, that is really interesting actually. Yeah. That line is very blurred now.
And I think what's interesting about the blurring of those lines is it creates a false sense of like, I think it makes it seem to people that the distance between them and some ex-lister who's like known in a marginal sense, they think the gap between them and that person is greater than the gap between that person and Kim Kardashian.
Right.
And really it's not. You right now watching me and Kyndal are probably closer to that YouTuber we like or that TikToker like we yes. You know what I mean, than they are to Scarlett Johansson or than they are to Adele or Drake or whatever the case may be. And even bringing it lower than like the superstars of superstars than they are to like probably NBA Youngboy. Sure. You know what I mean? But I think that everyone's the goal line is going to get moved. People aren't going to be so obsessed on being the biggest or the best of their generation or their time as much anymore. And people are going to become appetized with being known.
Just being known in general. Yeah, you know, that clout chasing thing is like, because it's very real.
Okay, I've crossed that proverbial line, and that's the biggest hurdle. So
now you got to maintain it.
Now it's just about maintaining. And if I stay in this little bubble for all of my life, I think the people whose goals are very much centered in like notoriety will find like satisfaction in that and success in that. And I think that the people whose obsession with climbing that ladder are going to inevitably be the people who don't care about that as much as they care about like the taste making of it. Like I am obsessed with cooking, the craftsmanship behind culinary art. Yeah. And that's going to be what drives me to be an A-list chef. Not the fact that I want to be an A-lister. You know what I mean? I think that's going to end up happening because, like you said, those lines are absolutely
They're
blurred
ridiculous.
now. And I think in the blurring of them, when hard lines get redrawn, they're going to be drawn in a little bit of the wrong spot, if that makes sense.
You know, and even I feel like I'm in a class piggybacking off of even like, the my love for the craft is going to make me like a better, you know, it's going to drive me to be the best of the best. Like I was thinking about it too, and I was reading like on Twitter about how people felt like there's not an artist of this generation. There's not a lot of good artists of the generation. Like it's just a lot of people putting out a bunch of music. And I said, I wonder why that is. And I feel like some of that is attributed to like the sense of notoriety. And there isn't really a desire to be the best of the best anymore. It's just put something out and hope it sticks.
Yep.
Put something out and make it go viral.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know. I think that's interesting. Like there's no like craftsmanship of like building an artist, making them a performer, you know, putting them in front of the right people and the right endorsements and like making an artist of that artist. It just doesn't exist anymore. And so I even wrote down, I was like, artists aren't going to be as good. If not, they just won't be as good. They just won't.
I agree with that. I think we're already seeing the fruits of that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use this person as an example because I'm a fan of them.
I'm scared. I know exactly what you're about to say, and I'm frightened. Go ahead.
Why are you frightened?
Because I love her.
Oh, I mean, I love her too.
Go ahead.
Ice Spice.
Oh!
I love
No.
Ice Spice, and I'm not even just like
You like her sound.
Men can laugh at me all they want. I don't care. I like bump Ice Spice. Like I like her music.
Yeah, it's fun.
But I think that you can see like Ice Spice was like not top billing, but like a major line on Rolling Loud before she knew how to perform at all. Like,
and she's so baby to this whole industry too.
So baby, like we think about it. Literally, like the 1 year anniversary of Munch was like 2 days ago, like a day ago.
I didn't realize it had only been a year.
And it's like secured 2 Nicki records, Barbie soundtrack. She's everywhere. You cannot turn your head without seeing her and hearing her. And it's like that amount of I think the pace that a lot of people are blowing up with and just how fast people's lives are changing. But then I also think that because a lot of the steps that used to exist specifically in the music industry that were involved in breaking an artist no longer exist, these equalizers like the internet, like YouTube, TikTok have been made. And that's wonderful because it makes every single person, every single artist working one moment away.
Yeah.
One video away. You even look at Flying the Boss, and it's like when you go down their Twitter, they were doing those running videos and then even other styles of promo videos with that same clip for months. But it took that one in the grocery store to go crazy viral, and now look how different things look for them right now. You know what I mean? And it's like, so again, everyone's just that one moment, that one video, that one song, whatever the case may be. But then it's like you're immediately thrust into the big leagues.
And with no prep.
No
team, no nothing.
And if you haven't been obsessed with the craft yourself, you're not going to be equipped. But even if you have been and working on your craftsmanship, you still might not be equipped because now you're bowling in a different league.
Yes.
You are being thrown into the deep end with the big sharks. And I'm coming to Coachella and you're going on because you're the hottest thing right now.
Yeah.
So you're going on right before Kendrick Lamar or right before Nicki Minaj or right before Imagine Dragons. And now
Imagine Dragons is crazy.
I mean, they're very famous.
They're very famous.
they're very famous. But
I was like not who I imagined you to say.
I was trying to I was like, think of one for the white people.
Think of one for white people.
So I was like, Imagine Dragons. So, but you're going on right before that person. You know what I mean? And we're seeing the levels in the artistry. I think in real time. And I do think the result is going to be, I even just saw an article recently about how label execs are like frantic because new artists just aren't sticking.
No.
And they're like, are we doing something wrong? Are these artists just less talented than artists
just suck, right?
before them? And I think that two things are contributing to that. I think, well, not even just two. I think it's an amalgamation of things that are contributing. But I think that there are a lot of people in the big leagues before they're big league ready. And so we're watching them grasp at straws.
Yeah, like literally.
We're watching them go through the learning curves and the making the mistakes and the getting adjusted. And to some degree, there's a lot of beauty in that.
No, I think it's wonderful. People are so mean about it, though. That's what makes me upset.
And I think people are mean about it because people are used to their art being art. And when I say that, I mean, you know, I'm sure if you walked in on the fourth day of, you know, I think it was Michelangelo carving the statue of David, you'd probably be like, what in the world are you doing? But now,
it is what it is.
Because you just had the privy of seeing the unveiling, and it's this gorgeous thing. That's what people have been used to, I think, for a long time.
It's such an instant gratification thing, too.
Yes.
And social media doesn't help. Like, I feel like you talk about that, that's going to get worse. Like, that's going to get, I already see, like, I even see it working with brands, working with like clients that are like, I don't understand why I'm not viral yet. I'm like, girl, you've been posting for a week and a half. What the fuck is that? What do you mean you're not viral? You're like, also, why do you want virality? Like, let's really sincerely ask ourselves, like, why do you want to go viral? Why?
But that's the other thing I was going to talk about while you were speaking. I just thought about the fact that so many people are entering these entertainment spaces simply for the income potential.
Sure.
Virality can be turned into commerce easier than craftsmanship can.
Yes.
And
yes,
it makes so much more sense, especially because we're microwave generation and we want that instant gratification.
Microwave generation.
That I posted 4 quality videos this week, and they're all floating under 10,000 views. How am I supposed to turn that into a bag?
Right. That's the crazy part, though. Like, you can.
And you can.
Yeah.
But that's not.
No.
What's computing is, if I go viral, I can then take that virality, turn it into momentum, take that momentum, turn it into a position, take that position, and turn it into commerce. And that's a lot of people's game plan. And I think specifically in the influencer market.
Yeah.
I think you'll find, you know, it's tough, but I think you'll find, you know, actors or musicians or, you know, even some writers, you know, I mean, visual artists. And you're like, if you are able to pay your bills and provide for yourself and your family off of doing this for the rest of your life, but you never like are one of the ones, will you take that? And you'll find many that like are like, no, because I have to be one of the best ever. But you'll find a lot who love it so much, is like, this is what I love to do, and if I can just do it and it
then that's fine.
That's fine. I think you'd be hard pressed to find influencers who would say that. Because what am I even influencing if I don't have the 1M followers? How am I even? How am I? And that's why I love, content strategists or people like you who work with small companies as well as, influencers or content creators, because content creation is a rat race.
Yeah.
But that woman who makes miniature marionettes, like custom marionettes of people.
Her. That's how I feel about the little, like, you ever seen those small little cooking videos? Mm-hmm. I love that shit. I don't know how they're monetizing, if they are, but keep doing what you're doing. Why? Because people like me enjoy it. The cake decorators, they're definitely monetizing. Yeah. Like, they probably literally own a bakery and shit. But keep posting those videos. I love them.
Yeah. And so I think that there's a lot of I think there's a lot of beauty in content creation.
Yeah.
And I even think, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone being like their desired career path is to be an influencer. Mm-hmm. I just think that it's hard to have that and then also be like, I'm not committed to this rat race of like 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K, 1M. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like,
into like grinding until you get there.
Yeah.
As most people just want that. I think that's why I have a hesitation with people that are like, I want to be an influencer, like, for a living. And I'm like, tell me why. Mm-hmm. Tell me why. Like, what is the mission? And if it's not, like, I never saw people that looked like me that were like, doing X, Y, and Z. Right. Or like, I want to, cultivate a community of people that are like X, Y, and Z. If it's not some sort of reasoning that's rooted in something to me that feels actual, I'm always like, you'd want to be known. Yeah. Why do you want to be known so desperately? Yeah. If it's to make money, fine. That won't get you far, though.
It won't.
It won't, and you'll hate your life because you're a slave to your audience. And that also, man, you talk about pop culture. Like, I was a big like YouTube fan growing up. Mm-hmm. I was a big fan of like Smosh and Ryan Higa and like all these people. Fan. If you watch these people, like, they're very creative, very funny, and like every skit, every video had so much like poured into it. Mm-hmm. Very well thought out, very well executed. And even when they didn't have a budget, I think about Ryan Higa all the time because Ryan Higa was just one of the most wittiest creators that I think we've ever seen. I don't think we've seen anybody like him since he had his like surgence. And he just stopped making it because he realized like he was quite literally a slave to the algorithm, a slave to his audience, and he wasn't creating things that he actually enjoyed. He said like, some of the videos that did the best were videos he hated. Yep. And like that makes me really sad because like I enjoyed watching his videos when I was a kid, and like I still think that he's a very talented individual, but he completely took a back seat to creating content. Now he just streams. Like now he just does whatever. And it's like it's sad because I feel like as much, and like my mission like with my business is to bring art back into content creation because there is an art to content creation, but in a similar fashion, like for some reason content sucks the art out of people because it's such a consistency game and it's such a like, I don't know. It makes me sad though. It makes me sad for creators.
I also think that content creation has always existed, but this very specific bubble of content creation that is content creation, I feel like it's like creating this weird divide that doesn't really exist between content creators and artists. At the core, we're all doing art.
I agree.
But I feel like there's this very interesting delineation happening. And you have content creators who are locked in on, being content creators. And oftentimes you'll find themselves kind of like having an attraction to the technical aspects of things. The fact that they know how to record a sequence of shots and then turn that into like the coolest little aesthetic-y video you've ever seen. and you have artists who are all like, I think about like the just like the stereotypical example of like the person who like went to school to act for acting, or went to school for art, and they're just like nose in the air, like, I care about art. I care about art's reflection of life and life's reflection of art, and I care about just making beautiful real pieces that move people. And it's like, even I find myself sometimes contributing to it, because
same, we're all snobs.
I'd be like, I'm an artist that like isn't good at creating content, and I'd be like, I wish I was, because I need to create content, but I'd be like, I'm not good at it. I'm good at the art part of it. And it's like, I'm not good at the art of content creation,
which is an art in itself.
Right. But I think because it has this ability to kind of suck the art out of people, and then naturally you have people who are artists who operated in the realm of content creation, if you will, in this new bubble that it exists now, that then get to a place where they're making the content without the art,
just soulless.
Right. It's creating this very weird line.
Yeah.
And I think that line is interesting because I remember growing up, especially when I was in like elementary and middle school, the word creative was something you do not be.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can do things creatively, but like, I'm not a creative.
Right.
And then late middle school, early high school, that started having a word, like a surgence of like being a creative. And it started to create this weird line then, I felt, between creatives and non-creatives, when everyone has
an
creativity,
innate ability to create. Yeah.
And it's just like, your creativity might not look like artsy, but you can open up a JavaScript and you can write code.
That's huge. I agree.
And on the other side of you writing that code, a program exists.
Yeah.
How is that not creative?
How is that not creative?
It's so creative, and it's something that I, as a creative, cannot do.
Will not do.
Right.
Mind you.
But if we were first day of class, and it's 2 facts, 1 lie, and you said, I'm Evan, I'm a technology major, I'm a creative, and I'm from Albuquerque. And everybody's like, well, the lie has to be I'm a creative. And you're like, I'm actually from Nebraska.
Right. I'm not.
Like, how dare you say you're a creative? Because what art are you making? What?
I think that's such a snobby way to look at it. And artists have a way of being just straight snobs.
Yeah, very.
Love y'all, mean it.
We're snooty individuals.
Snooty individuals. That's what happens also when you just go to school for that shit too. I feel like you just meet just everybody is like really serious about their shit, and then they're like really pretentious. Yes. And I think that's like where it plays in with the content. It's like, how dare you? Like, and I think also I find it funny because like you see the influencers that are like trying to break into, you know, an entertainment industry and be known for more than just an influencer, be known for something else. And you have people like hate that because like, well, I went to school for acting and I'm not getting that opportunity.
Right.
And that's not fair. And I think that's a whole other conversation, but I think we're going to see more of that too. So y'all just need to buckle up because you're going to see influencers because that's how they maintain longevity.
Yeah.
That's how they're going to maintain longevity and also work their way out of the title of influencer and into like creative or into like multi-hyphenate, you know, whatever, but like entertainer in general. Yeah. I think the word entertainer is going to be, speaking of that, funny enough, I had written down like more like micro trends or things that I saw, but I also put down like daytime TV, like hosting, like Wendy Williams and shit. It's over. It's like Podcast Central now. I said I'm not mad, but I am a little sad.
I'm sad too. I'm sad because I think daytime TV, one, was still very important to a certain demographic.
Yeah.
But I'm not a part of that demographic, so it's like, you're losing something. I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
But I think hosting it's something that people innately understand is a skill. I don't think people understand this as hosting.
Sure.
I think a lot of people are like, I can sit down in front of a mic and just talk about whatever I like.
That's what a lot of y'all think, and some of y'all shouldn't think that, if you ask me personally. And what do I know? But also, let me just be so real with y'all. You don't need to start another podcast.
You don't.
Says the podcaster. But you don't.
You don't.
That's why I feel like I can laugh at those jokes though, because like I get the submissions too. They're like, podcasters are like the new, like, I'm a SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah.
When I read that, I about gagged. I was like,
it's true though.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Unfortunately, but not everybody can do it.
No, not everybody can do it. There are a lot of people doing it who can't do it. And not only are there a lot of people doing it who can't do it, but there are a lot of people doing it. I think as a generation, ours specifically. I don't know if it was in the homes. I don't know if school helped, but it's just a lot of people who feel like unheard.
Yes.
And I think they're picking these up and buying one of those.
Yeah.
Screaming into the void because they just want to be heard. And I think that's important. But I think that this is a medium, and if you don't have the skills, talents, and abilities and the commitment to work on those things, that this medium isn't probably the conduit for you to be heard.
So true.
And it's actually funny that, at the top of the episode, you kind of spoke about, like, you mentioned the word community. And, like, I think a lot of people are seeking that more than anything.
Yeah.
But we spend so much of our lives through these screens, through the proverbial black mirror, that we're seeking community there.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not even necessarily innately a bad thing. I think it has a cap. I think social internet community has a cap, and there are certain things that real life in-person communities can have, give, and achieve that those can't ever.
Yeah.
But there are also unique benefits to them. You know what I mean? You're here and Christy's in Istanbul, and you guys can connect about whatever it is, that thing that you guys love and that you have in common. You know what I mean? There's lots of beauty to it. But I think that if more people had a real sense of community in their actual lives, a lot less podcasts would happen, because you'd get the same amount of gratification in the moment when you're in a room full of 8 to 10 of your peers that you love, care about, and that you know that you all respect each other as individuals and your thoughts and opinions, and you have this conversation instead of you doing it to the mic in the room by yourself, hoping that the
somebody
algorithm
else will get it.
Brings those people.
Yeah, because that doesn't work for everybody. We've seen that work for some influencers or celebrities that blew up that way, but it just isn't going to work for everybody, especially if you're hateful, dear. You can't be hateful on the mic by yourself. Like, that's not how this is going to work. But no, like, totally agree. And I think there's so much to be said about the community aspect, because pop culture as a whole, like, I think we're marketed to in the form of the community. It comes all the way back around to even where we started this conversation of, like, commodifying things, or like making it so much easier to fit into a box. Even like, I think we're all getting to a place where we really need to fit into a box somewhere. Yeah. Somewhere. And it's like, if I can't find the box, I'm going to make the box, which is amazing. Sometimes. So just be careful there. Not last, but I am curious to know, how do you feel about AI taking over?
So I have two perspectives on these.
Yeah.
On this. They're similar but not exactly the same. I have the perspective as an artist, as an actor, a writer, and a rapper. And then I have the perspective as a just human being. Yeah. They're very similar. Yeah. But there are some niche differences. As an artist, I completely despise AI.
Absolutely.
I'm not one of the artists who is leaning into it playing a role. Not just in art, but I think kind of just like society. I don't think AIs should be taking jobs. I don't think that industries should be redefining themselves around the implication and introduction of AI. And that's both for the industries I'm in and for other industries, you know? I don't think companies should be saying, why have a person that's going to have human error be our accountant when I can create a program that's perfect with numbers that'll be our accountant flawlessly, and I'll never have to worry about money laundering or about tax evasions or frauds or their own ulterior motives, or oh, I was so tired on Tuesday and I miscalculated that and that led to me miscalculating the whole quarter, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I don't think that should exist. But industries are already, you know what
They're
I mean?
Already just,
thinking in that way.
Yeah.
So
how do we feel like it's gonna like play into pop culture as far as like film and television? Because I saw you bastards scanning people's faces and shit and using their likeness and move. Like that's what scares me about AI. Is your likeness just living on forever and ever and ever.
And I think about not only just your likeness in a passive way, but like I think about deep fakes.
Oh my God, we didn't even touch that. That's going to evolve too. I
think about just how much more easy it's going to be to convincingly create false reality. And I even had a moment one time where I was talking to a homie of mine about Bill Skarsgård, and about how he's a great actor, and I'm a fan of Bill. Shout out the whole Skarsgård family; they all just act so well. But he was just saying how watching it for him is too surreal because every movie, the action, whatever it is, he's able to in real time, no matter how real it looks, tell himself this is a movie. Except it, he couldn't even explain. He was just like, everything that I'm seeing on the screen, both of him and his mannerisms at playing Pennywise and graphics, him being giant, the jaw to the floor. He was just like, my brain, I'll be like, that's a movie, and my brain will be like, no, it's not. It looks way too real to him. And having that conversation led to me being like, man, like Bill Skarsgård, like, is a great actor, and I'm not wishing this upon him, but he'll probably just always be remembered as Pennywise, a movie where you can't even see his face. You
can't even see his face.
And that, like, thought to me made me think about, like, how closer we're getting to the human aspect of entertainment becoming less relevant. Like, because we've seen it for so long with just special effects, makeup, prosthetic, visual effects, CGI, but we're getting to the place now, and AI's introduction is taking it to the potential place. I could have Joe Pesci dead for 4 years. He's still alive, God rest his soul. So not God, you know what I mean. I'm not wishing any dead on Joe Pesci. I love Joe Pesci. Live a long time, Joe Pesci. One of the greatest actors ever. But Joe Pesci could be, deep into the future. He could have been dead for 4 years, and I could have a program to perfectly recreate his voice, body, likeness.
Horrible.
And now I can have Joe Pesci star in this movie that I always wanted Joe Pesci to be in, but he died before I could ever get the chance because nobody knew me then. And now I can use whatever the leading AI program is. And all of a sudden, I have this stunning, phenomenal performance from Joe Pesci, and
he wasn't even there.
He wasn't there. He didn't even have the option to know it existed.
No.
The potential of it was not even a part of his reality.
I think about, like, how that impacts families and people's lives, too. Like, that, to me, ruins art. That, to me, like, there are so many things I feel like people are saying, like, ruins art, ruins creation. But, like, AI has to, like, just take the cake with, like, actually destroying the integrity of art, of artistry, of creation. Fuck AI.
Yeah.
This is an AI hate account.
Yeah, I'm pretty AIK.
Like, we hate that shit. All my homies hate AI.
Yeah,
we don't fuck with hate AI. I'll never forget, like, I was working for a media company, and I did a lot of work creating content and doing a lot of voiceover work. And at one point,
that makes sense.
They were pushing me. Thank you. At one point, they were pushing me to be like, using AI is going to probably be faster for you to make these videos. It's going to be faster. Said no, it's not, but okay. They're like, can we use your voice? And like, if you do a sample, you'll be able to just put the script in and the AI will do. I was like, absolutely fucking not. And let me find out you fuckers are still using my voice and my likeness, and I will haunt you in court, because that's some shit I don't play about.
Yeah,
that's some shit I absolutely don't play about.
Yeah, and I think about just how those implications can start to bleed into life, like it infiltrating art and entertainment for me is already enough of like a massive problem.
Yeah.
It grinds my gears. It boils the blood. But I think the thought that the person who's just the owner of this mom and pop shop that I enter and I just like visually how they look, or you know what I mean? He just walks in a way that I find is unique, and I get some footage of it, and all of a sudden now his likeness can be mine to do with and it's like those lines are already we're seeing more and more and more, even when we're looking in court, we're seeing more and more and more instances where ownership of a likeness is not in the onus of the person, but the onus of the person who owns the thing, the picture, the video, the audio clip. And it's like, now you have the potential, and with AI's advancements, to take anyone's voice, face, body, likeness, image, and put it wherever you so please. It's such a slippery slope. How long before we're in court trying to have experts delineate between deepfake footage and real footage?
Like, that's
between deepfake audio and real audio. Like, how long before? And it may seem like we're like, putting the cart in front of the horse here, but
no, wait, that's coming. You talk about future or something, that is coming.
It's coming, and I think Hollywood is okay with being the trailblazers. The guinea pig. Because
fuck that.
We're seeing it in, I don't even like saying his name, but we're seeing it in Bob Iger's rhetoric, Disney CEO, and just how he's just like, I'll do whatever it takes to save money.
I'll let 1,000. What is it?
I'll let 1,000 children.
I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die. That's what the fuck he on for real.
Like, he's legitimately like, yeah, every single person that was in WandaVision got scanned. You can expect to see them all in Secret Wars.
Literally, I'll scan 1,000 faces before I let this company die. Like, he on his shit.
Like,
Mr. Water News ass.
And it's like, but Hollywood is absolutely posturing itself to be like, we're okay with being the trailblazers of this. And I don't think they're vapid. I think they understand the implications both for their industry
and for everybody else,
how it could grow and evolve elsewhere. I think
the money is so
such a motivator, man,
that they just don't give a fuck. Because even in their case, if it's like, if it impacts me, I know who to hire, I know who to call. I don't think they can even fathom how it could impact them in a way that they can't fix it because the money is so long.
Yeah,
that is also very frightening to think about, having that much fucking money that you don't even care about consequences. Consequences don't affect you because you have money.
Yeah.
Oof.
Woof. Yeah, that's a topic.
That's a
in
whole
and of
other
itself.
conversation.
Yeah.
That's for a show called It's Very Serious.
Yeah.
It's very fucking serious.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So, wow. Well, that being said, I have a couple rapid fire opinions, but I also ask you guys what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, what are we gonna see here? What are we expecting from pop culture? Me and my New York accent. My first thought is we're never gonna see another family that's like as big as the Kardashians ever again.
You mean big as in like fame?
Like we had, like we have a Rockefeller family.
I agree.
We're not gonna see a Kardashian like family empire ever again.
I agree.
I think maybe the Ace family thought they was it, but that also leads me to my next thought, which was we're gonna start seeing some lawsuits from the influencer children.
Yes, we're definitely, absolutely, that's coming. It's gonna come. It's gonna come in waves, and specifically, somebody's gonna hit big, like big money, and it's going to lead to a massive wave of other influencer children suing, even ones who like might have been like all in. Like, no, I love. This is what I want.
Yeah, like
and they're gonna retell the story for the potential of that back. That's absolutely gonna happen. I agree with both of those. I don't think we'll have a celebrity family as big as the Kardashians.
Never again. Sorry. I don't see it happening. I try to even think of like who else could even compete with them. I think the D'Amelios were trying. Not gonna happen. They're also too small of a family, if you ask me. To like
not
compete.
Enough members.
Not enough members in the family. The dogs do not count. Sorry, the dogs don't count. And yeah, they tried the reality show thing. I liked the little show. It was fine.
You watched it?
I did. Watched both seasons. Because you know what, if there's anything I love more, it's like Lil T. I call that Lil T because to me, like, I just love Lil T. And I was like, let me see what the tea with the Lil D'Amelio show is, and I liked it. It wasn't bad. I dig. I also think that we kind of touched on this with the strike of everything. I think we're gonna see more budget projects, more creativity, more unique things that we can put back on streaming sites. Like we might see a resurgence of YouTube because of that.
I specifically, not only do I agree with that, I kind of had a prediction in that vein that streaming services, companies are going to, like production companies, say especially smaller budget ones, but even big budget ones, say I'm Warner, say I'm A24, say I'm Blumhouse, I'm going to either, whether it's I'm producing this movie from, script to completion, or if I go to a festival and I buy this movie for distribution, whichever it is, they're going to start their more niche coming of age, or you know what I mean, those things that like aren't looking like big money. They're going to be basically subleasing them to streaming services for their exclusive, you know what I mean? And that's going to become important because right now, if there's a Netflix original film, it's because Netflix bought the distribution to it or Netflix produced it. Netflix being able to get something from Warner, from Lionsgate, from whoever the case may be, that's a film that they clearly believed in to some degree to put a budget behind, but they don't think is going to bring in the money. That's going to kind of change streaming services relationships with the bigger production companies. And I think it's going to change what movie theater and movie going culture looks like, because we saw it taking its dive. And since Top Gun Maverick, every time we have a big movie moment, we're championing that theaters are back.
Right. That was me with, you said Top Gun Maverick. I was like, Barbie?
Yeah, Barbie's one.
I said Barbie?
Barbenheimer, and just that day.
Like, we're so back. Cinema is so
back. Yeah, cinema is back. Like, you're hearing it. And I think that it'll stay kind of trending in that direction. But what you're going to be able to go to the theaters and see is going to be purely the safe bets. It's going to be purely the franchises. Oh, well, The Rock is in this. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, and I think certain production companies are going to struggle with gauging what should be going to theaters and what those other things are.
Yeah, because people be unpredictable, and we be into
very
what
unpredictable.
Into. Yeah, that's so real.
I don't think Nolan could have said this World War II biopic is going to make you $500,000 in 3 weeks. It did, but if he would have said it, he probably would have been being brave. Even Margot Robbie said that when she was selling to Barbie, she was like, "This is $1 billion film." She said she didn't believe that.
No, she was like,
but she was just like, "I've gotta say whatever it takes for me and Greta to make this movie."
And it did. A bar billion, everybody.
A bar billion,
bitch.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's tea. And then this one was random. Y'all don't come for me. I do feel like comedy is dying a little bit.
Why?
Right. I'm treading very lightly here.
And
I'm not saying this because, but I'm also saying it because like I've experienced it myself. Like people can't take a joke, and I'm talking about a genuine joke. Like this is funny, haha. I'm not talking about hurting people's feelings or being hateful or being discriminatory on a large platform. I'm talking like people like can't find humor in things anymore.
Yeah.
Because shit ain't funny low key out here sometimes.
Yeah.
So I feel like I feel like comedy is a dying art. It's a dying breed. And I also feel like the people that were really heavily involved in comedy are mad as shit because they can't make the same offensive jokes that they used to make. They don't know how to pivot in a way that can actually bring people joy. And I feel like the funnies, like I was watching Rush Hour and I was like, I remember this movie being so funny as a kid and I'm watching it now. And I mean, yeah, it's funny for nostalgic purposes, but this movie could not be made today.
No, yeah, it's very racist.
It wouldn't get put on.
Yeah.
Comedy's kind of dead because if that's the only way we can be funny, because it's not funny.
I think I completely agree with the sentiment. I don't know if I think stand-up comedy is hurting. And I think that ironically, because of the fact that people can't take a joke, I think sitcoms are going to have a resurgence because they're safe comedy.
It is very safe.
And I think that not just sitcoms, but sitcoms that at their basis are like about nothing. Shows like Seinfeld and Curb, shows like Parks and Rec, The Office, that like tried their best, and like even like Parks and Rec or like Curb or like The Office, there are episodes and moments you're watching, you're like, this couldn't happen today, or that line couldn't happen today. But I think shows that are just like, I think sitcoms like mid to late 2000s were getting very neo, and like every sitcom had an episode about who was gonna vote for who like come 2016. But like they were dipping their toes in the real life pool, if you will. And what people loved about sitcoms for so long was just how formulaic they were and how they felt so slice of pie versus all encompassing when it comes to life. And I think we're gonna see a boom of sitcoms looking the way that they did in that essence, not trying to wear as many hats, but just being like, come in and have your 28 minutes of funny and
leave
and go. I do think that comedy films are going to be hurt, and that their budgets are going to,
which is unfortunate because I love to laugh.
It is unfortunate. And I also think that we're going to see a really big surge of new comedians whose whole thing is self-deprecation.
Oh my God, and I hate
and
that.
And being like
that's real.
So reflective that many comedians like have put themselves or their flaws, their experiences, their mistakes into their acts.
Of it, yeah.
But I think like we're gonna see people whose like whole thing and their whole act and their whole essence is, I'm the joke.
Which to me,
and come watch me joke about me.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some room for that in the grand scheme, but when it starts to become the grand scheme, I think we're going to feel like comedy as we know it isn't here.
That's valid. That's a great analysis of that, because I'm just out here. That's great. It's like I feel like I'm spitting general statements. And Emmanuel comes in and cleans it up and is like, absolutely, I agree. And here's why we're going to see that. I'm yeah, that's the good stuff. So here's some of y'all's submissions. Somebody said, we're due for a new boy band to blow up soon. You know what? Because of BTS, I hadn't even thought of that.
Me too. Because immediately when you even read it, I was just like, well, we have BTS. I know they're on Army sabbatical.
And I don't even listen to BTS.
I don't either,
that.
but they are a major boy band, and I'm assuming this person is probably American and talking about an American boy band,
or I guess an English boy band. If you
right, because I was about to say the last two major boy bands were not American, but I don't know if I see it. I'd like it. I'd lean into it.
I mean,
but I don't know if I'd see it.
If we see it, it's going to be it's going to be 10 years from now when the next generation is a little bit older. Because they need something for them. So we're going to see it eventually. I just don't think it's anytime soon.
I think I can see that.
You can see that?
Yeah.
I'd rather see a girl group blow up, because I haven't seen a good girl group in a long time.
I was going to say that ironically, I do think that there's room for not just a girl group, but a girl group surge.
Search.
But yes, it's always so weird because I think for a long time, girl groups broke up. Like, you know, you have the girl group and then they eventually inevitably break up.
Mm-hmm.
And the star goes on to be the star.
The star. Uh-huh.
But everybody else finds their footing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the last really girl group we had was Fifth Harmony. And I don't feel like that breakup led to
anybody really finding their footing.
And like everyone has different reasons for why they haven't, but at the end of the day,
kind of makes me sad.
Yeah, I just don't know if I would say any of them have their footing.
Yeah, like I mean, you can say who you think the breakout star is versus who the breakout star needs to be, but that breakout star didn't even put out anything when we've been begging to be fed. We're starving, emaciated.
People do want you to drop.
Like, you need to drop, girl. Like, what the fuck? And I think it's her team or like her label or like whatever.
I did see something recently saying that she's no longer with her manager.
Okay, so soon I think we're due for something soon.
We might get something soon.
But yeah, I'm ready for a girl group, to be quite honest with you, because boys are cool. I just want to see the girls. Somebody said Renee Rapp is taking over. I don't know enough to really confirm or deny that sentiment, to be quite honest with you.
I don't know what Renee Rapp is.
You don't know who that is?
That's a human? I thought that was a genre, like a subgenre of rap. Like, I thought it was like Blueberry Nails rap.
Bye. You know who Renee Rapp is? She's she played Regina George on Broadway.
Okay.
Like, no, she didn't originate the role, but she did like come in and she played, and then she was in Sex Life of College Girls. She's like a blonde blonde girl.
Okay.
She's cute.
I'm aware of the show. I haven't.
You haven't like seen it?
Let me do a quick little Google it.
Yeah. Put a face to the name. But I mean, maybe yeah.
The Sex Lives of College Girls is one of the many shows. I could do a whole episode on all the things people have told me I would love to like watching wise, because everyone knows I'm a cinephile. Everyone knows I love TV, and so everyone's always giving me suggestions.
And you haven't.
And it's like, it's not enough human time for me to watch all of the things everyone wants me to watch.
Someone said that. Like, I think I was listening to a podcast and she was like, I don't have enough time to consume as much as I would like to. Like, there's so many things to consume and it's almost overwhelming, the list of consuming I need to do, and I don't have time.
I think that if I committed myself to like consuming one corner of thing, then I would be. My friends, one of the things that they all say about me is that I know everything.
Mm-hmm, you do.
And it's not that I know everything, but I know a good amount about a great multitude of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, my friends who may not know, you know, you have people who like, they come home and they get on YouTube.
Absolutely.
And that's,
you
know what I mean? Come home, binge a show. Come home, they watch cooking shows or competition-based shows or, you know what I mean? Love Island or, but I'm like, or like people who like their whole life is battle rap or, and I'm like the dude who's like in all of the things.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I can sit here and I can talk to this person about this competition show. You know, like one of my favorite competition shows is Blown Away. It's a glass blowing show on Netflix. And I love it with all my heart.
That exists?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal show. It's so dope.
And
I can sit
a niche individual.
And I can sit and I can talk in depth with someone about Blown Away and then go to the next circle and we can talk about battle rap and then go to the next circle and talk about wrestling, then go to the next circle and talk about like pop culture and like the tea, the drama, and then go to then sports, and so because I could probably watch all the shows everyone wants me to watch and all the ones that I want to watch if all I was doing was watching shows. But I'm watching shows and movies and YouTube and this and that and yellow and blue and green and red and triangle.
You need your own like
koala.
segment in like some form of content, something that's like Emmanuel's picks or something, and like review like the topics that you like, the things that you've been watching, the things that you've been like indulging in, because you indulge in so much and you have an opinion on everything. Like, I feel like that'd be really interesting for you to do. Just something to sit on.
Content advice from Kyndal.
Y'all saw it in real time.
In real time.
This one says, now this is something I can't get behind, but somebody said the fall of the Kardashians, and I just don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either. I think They're kind of Teflon at this point.
There's nothing that y'all can do.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the Kanye thing, I felt like that could have easily stained a big portion of their image, and it just didn't seem to do much of anything.
It barely stained Kanye.
Really, though?
If we're being honest.
Really, though? So, oh, God bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if I can co-sign seeing that. I think it'd be interesting to see.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
But I don't think it's gonna happen.
They popped out all them babies. They are going to raise those children up to kind of fulfill the prophecy of the Kardashian family.
I think what could be more realistic is not all, but a lot of their kids shunning that limelight as they get older.
North, I'm looking at you, girl.
But even that, I don't think would be their demise or take them out of relevancy or the power that they have. I just think they've made themselves a pop culture staple. They're a cornerstone of entertainment.
They're just not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, they're just not going anywhere. And it's because of people like me that still watch the show. Sorry.
You watch the Kardashians on Hulu?
Oh, yeah. Me and Riley, we sit here every Thursday and we be watching that shit. Oh, interesting. Oh, Lord. This is the worst one to end on because we have something to say about it. The fight of Black Americans in Christianity. Our generation is about to challenge the church for real.
I don't disagree with that.
I don't disagree with it either. I've already seen it.
I definitely don't disagree with it. And I think to a lot of degrees, it's probably necessary.
Absolutely.
I think the why is going to be important. I think you're going to have people who are going to want to challenge the church out of hurt, and people who are going to want to challenge the church because they see the mistakes, they see holes and voids, and they want the church to kind of return to its former glory and being the cornerstone of community. I think people who are doing it because of the latter reason will enact change that is for the better. I think people who are doing it for the former reason will bring about conflict and tumultuous tensions and frictions.
I don't disagree with that at all.
But I'm strapped in for all of it. I think it's happening.
Yeah. Like I'm still here for the little T. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I would love to go back to church, but a nice one. You know, like I would like to enjoy my time. So I get exactly where this person's coming from. Like, I think we are challenging like viewpoints. Like, no one wants to go to church and feel like condemned all the damn time. And that's not even what we're here for. Like, nobody's there to do that. So I don't know. I feel like we'll definitely see that as well.
I think the church has a very difficult line to toe between speaking the truth and not being so obsessed with condemnation. And I don't think it's struck that balance yet.
No, they haven't found it.
And so
I don't know if they ever will. Yeah. And that's for my alter ego show. It is that serious. That is a topic to get into.
Definitely.
I don't have high hopes for it, to be quite honest with you, but I do think that would happen as far as like a challenge and a shift for sure. Yeah. We're already seeing it.
Yeah, we're
definitely
especially
like in our generation. Yeah. Like, yeah, for sure. The 20-somethings, they ain't going to church.
Yeah, they definitely aren't.
They aren't going. So,
I be having to remind myself of that. Like, people like trying to make plans with people, and they're like, "Well, what about Sunday morning? Like Sunday early afternoon?" I'll be like, I'm gonna be at church." They be like,
"You go to church?" Right?
Not even because but just like, who does that anymore? Like,
yes. Like,
I'll be like,
"Nigga, we go to brunch on Sunday."
Like, go,
say hey, what's up?
Hang with Jesus,
right? Just for a little bit. I don't know, just some. That's funny. Well, y'all, it has been a jam-packed episode full of lots of insightful thoughts and things. How you feeling?
I feel amazing. This is really fun.
Thanks for coming on.
This is as you know, I've both hosted a podcast and been on podcasts in the past, and then also just have the experience of like being interviewed a lot as an artist.
Yeah.
And so often it just doesn't feel like a free flowing and open conversation between individuals.
Yeah.
And this just does. Even just, I don't know. I think there's an aspect to it that's based in you. And I think also based in our respect for each other.
For sure.
But I just had such a ball. Like I was very excited to come, and it like exceeded all expectations.
Oh my gosh, yay. I was so excited because I put on my close friends. I was like, who is doing the show with me Friday? Say it.
Yeah.
Say it. And finally, it's like finally time. No, it's finally time.
Definitely.
So
definitely the time
I'm so
right.
glad that you came on. You guys, thank you so much for listening to the show. If you liked it, make sure you give it a good solid rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a comment on YouTube. Share this episode with someone who is very pop culture involved or creative, because I think that they'll thoroughly enjoy this. Mm-hmm. I've been doing a new thing where I read reviews. So I think, let's see if we've got a new one. This one is a 5-star rating from Trana. Okay.
Shout out Utrana.
Shout out Utrana. They said, I found out about this podcast after one of their TikToks was on my FYP. I ran to subscribe right away because I just loved the vibe. Thank you for having such a fun and not serious podcast in a time where everything in life / the world is so overwhelming and intense. You are so welcome, Utrana.
You get it, Utrana.
You get it.
Utrana gets it.
In fact, can you share it with people that don't get it? Because we need that to go around. But yeah, I mean, y'all, thank you so much for listening, because, after all the pop culture discussion, the AI takeover, the drama with, who's up next and who's rising.
Yep.
I don't know, y'all, because at the end of the day, it's not that serious. Okay. Bye. Have a good day. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Say thank you, Emmanuel, for being so smart and filling our brains with good stuff today.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for being so smart and filling our brains with good stuff today.